What's up, everybody? This is Dan. This is ReadyUp. This is an NFL segment. This is a power rankings, and we're going to rank the 32nd team all the way up to the first. Let's get started. Number 32 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's really no other way to put it. The Jags just suck. 0-16 is a definite possibility. They got rid of Calais Campbell. They got rid of A.J. Bouye. They got rid of Nick Foles. It wasn't much of a loss, but now they got Garner Minshew starting. He looks like Baker Mayfield and Uncle Rico had a baby. So they're going to be terrible. And the fire sale actually might not be over. They may be getting rid of Leonard Fournette. So, they're just in for a rough time. Number 31 is the Carolina Panthers. To be honest, this version of the Panthers, it doesn't look better than last year's. You got Matt Rule taking over as head coach. He brings in Teddy Bridgewater. I'd have probably just kept Cam. Cam can be great when healthy. He's an MVP when healthy. And then you lost Luke Kuechly. You used 7 picks on defensive players, but you have to when you lose all the defense you did lose. I liked the drafting of Derek Brown, and pairing him with K'Wan Short should be pretty good, but you really need to hope it's good. You need to pray that it's good, because you have Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Matty Ice in your division. Good luck. Number 30, we have the Washington Redskins. I do think they are headed in the right direction. Ron Rivera was a great hiring. Jack Del Rio was a good hiring. I think their defense should actually be improved. The D-line is scary. You're switching to a 4-3. You brought in Chase Young, who was probably the best player in the draft. That goes along with Ryan Kerrigan, Sweat, and Jonathan Allen. This has potential to be the best defensive line in football. It could rival the 49ers. That should help them greatly in defense. It starts up front. But that said, you can't win games if you can't score any points. And Dwayne Haskins has zero help. So I feel bad for him. He's got potential to be a really good quarterback, but get him some help. Get the man some help, please. Number 29, Jets. You guys suck. You're in for another long season. Even with that said, though, you did make an improvement to your O-line. You have 4 new starters on the O-line. You needed that. So I hope that helps you guys. But you still suck. You got rid of your best receiver and replaced him with Perriman and then drafted Mims. I'd say you're still lacking in the receiver department. And with that said, I'd say you're in for a long season and at best mediocrity. Number 28, the Bears. So your guys' problems start up front, quarterback position. You bring in Nick Foles. I don't think he's going to help anything. He may not even start. He's Nick Foles. You did go out and get Robert Quinn, paired him with Khalil Mack. That's actually pretty formidable. That's nice. But in doing so, you let Kwiatkowski walk, if that's how you pronounce his name. Why do you let that guy walk? And why the hell do you have so many tight ends? Why? You sign Jimmy Graham, and then you draft Cole Kmet, if that's how you pronounce his name. Nothing against that guy, but you guys needed a safety. And instead, you have 5 tight ends. Number 27 is the Chargers. The Chargers blew it up, went full rebuild. You get rid of Phillip Rivers, you get rid of Melvin Gordon, bring in Tyrod Taylor, and then you draft Justin Herbert. If Tyrod Taylor can have some kind of magic year, maybe you guys are better than 27. Maybe you sneak into a wild card, but I really don't see it. I think it's highly unlikely. With that said, you do have talent on both sides of the ball, um, especially defense. I like your defense. I like the addition of Chris Harris. I think he's still one of the better corners in the league. But I got you guys at 27. I really don't see you going higher than that. Number 26, the Lions. All right, let's be honest. Patricia and Bob Quinn are out after this year. They're not going to win enough games. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're out. So they made a lot of moves. Made quite a bit of moves, I should say. They will have Stafford back. With Stafford, I guess there's a chance, but it's not happening, guys. You'll be looking for a job next year. You got rid of Darius Slay. He's probably your best player. Well, was. They did sign Trufant, and they did get a very nice pick in Akuda. He's going to be a beast. And they brought in Jamie Collins. So, I mean, they are bringing in some players. They did lose a player. But all in all, I think this team will be more competitive than last year's team. But I don't think it's going to, equate into more wins. Number 25, the Giants. The Giants went into the offseason / draft needing O-line help. They did draft Andrew Thomas. He should provide that. They could probably use some more. Their defense didn't really get any better, I don't think. I mean, they made some changes. They grabbed Blake Martinez, Xavier McKinney, James Bradbury, but I don't think your defense is improving much. You're looking about the same. If you do take that step forward and you end up better than 25, it's going to be because Daniels takes that step forward. I think he can. I think he's got the talent around him to do so, especially with Saquon Barkley. I mean, you got maybe the best back in the league. So, get it done. Number 24, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals drafted Burrow. Everybody knew they were going to draft Burrow. At least they didn't mess that pick up. We're also going to see him start right away since they got rid of Andy Dalton. He definitely isn't short on playmakers, so he could light it up. He's got A.J. Green, Boyd, Ross, Mixon. He's even got Higgins to go along in that mix, so he's not short on talent around him. They added some new faces on defense. I actually like the Von Bell signing. It was a pretty good signing. If the defense is improved and Joe comes out, as a Rookie of the Year candidate, possibly, which it looks like could be the case, then I could have them low. But the real issue that they face is they're in a tough division. They got the Browns, who look much improved. They got the Steelers, who got Big Ben back. And they got the Ravens, who look like a Super Bowl competitor. So, number 23, the Rams. Now, I'm happy about this, obviously. We all knew this was coming. They loaded up for their Super Bowl run. They went into cap hell and had to part away with a lot of players. The biggest of those losses, I think, is probably Cooks and Gurley. But, I mean, they also lost Clay Matthews, Littleton, Fowler. How the mighty have fallen. I actually don't have anything positive to say about your offseason. I mean, even your logo was terrible. Number 21, the Miami Dolphins. Tank for Tua, baby. No, but it actually ended up working. They did get their guy. They got Tua. They have had a really good offseason. The sweetest of the prizes of the offseason has to be Byron Jones. That man's a monster. The Cowboys lost him, so. But they also brought in Van Noy and Shaq Lawson, which are both great players. They solidified their running back position. They got a nice 1-2 with Howard and Breida. He had a good season with the Niners. He kind of was in the doghouse at the end of the year, but he started off really well, and he can be a really good back. He's a really good speed back. So I actually like their offseason moves. I could see the Dolphins competing for a wild card spot. Number 20, the Atlanta Falcons. So I mean, to be honest, the Falcons and Dan Quinn, they're in a tough spot. Unfortunately for him, he is on the hot seat. And also, unfortunately for him, he's got Tom Brady and Drew Brees in his division. So, getting into a playoff spot or even a wild card spot is going to be a long road ahead. They made some moves. I do think Gurley's an upgrade over Freeman, but I mean, can the O line create holes? That's the biggest question. Gurley needs holes, and so did Freeman. And I like the addition of Dante Fowler. I think that's an upgrade over Beasley, and Fowler can put some pressure on the quarterback, and you're definitely going to need it in that division. Number 19, the New England Patriots. Well, we know where to start with this one. Tom Brady. That's all there really is to say about that. Um, to add to that loss, they lost Vanoy and Jamie Collins. I honestly believe this will be their first losing season in like the past, 20 years? Out of respect for Bill Belichick, the best coach in the game, I won't drop him past 19. Because if anyone can turn it around, it's Belichick. So you can't really count him out. I mean, let's see what Stidham has, but I do have a hard time seeing him do much with that passing game because I mean their best receiver is still Julian Edelman, and they haven't upgraded anything else. Tom Brady had a rough time last year as well. I don't think Stidham's going to do better than Brady did last year. Number 18, the Minnesota Vikings. So I mean this should have been and could have been the year to take over the division, but they lost so much this offseason. They lost their offensive coordinator who actually got things turned around. They lost Stephon Diggs, who was their best wide receiver. They lost Everson Griffin, who is a monster defensive end. And they lost all of their corners. So, I mean, they lost as much as the Patriots lost, pretty much. I don't think it gets much worse than that. I think they had a good draft. I like Jefferson, but he's got some big shoes to fill. So, I don't think they're going to be as good as last year, and I don't know if there'd be a playoff team this year. Number 17, the Tennessee Titans. While they did keep Henry and Tannehill intact, I'm really still not sold on Tannehill. They also lost Conklin, which was a huge blow. I mean, that man's a monster. You're not just going to replace him. He's a big reason why Henry had his success. On top of that, they lost Casey on the D-line. That's another large loss. To top that off, you lose Logan Ryan, you lose Cameron Wake. You brought in Vic Beasley. He's good, but I don't think they repeat last year's success. Number 16, the Denver Broncos. I think Denver's on the rise. I really like that they're surrounding Locke. They're a young quarterback with just tons of talent. They're trying to give him every chance to succeed. They went and grabbed Melvin Gordon, paired him with Lindsey, so he's got a good 1-2 that he can hand off to. They signed, they drafted Jerry Jeudy, which was an excellent pick. I liked it a lot. The biggest loss I think they took this offseason was the loss of Chris Harris. The man's a beast. He's still one of the better corners in the game, but they did replace him with A.J. Bouye, and he's a Pro Bowl corner as well. He's a very talented guy. And then they also went and got Jarrell Casey, who that's a huge signing. That man is a monster. So I think Denver's on the rise. They could be a wild card team this year. Number 15 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got Big Ben back, which that's huge for them. But I mean, if this season rides on his shoulders for the most part. If he gets hurt again and you got Mason Rudolph starting, you're in trouble. I mean, he's terrible. I don't even know if he knows how terrible he is after getting hit in the head with that helmet. He's terrible. I loved the Claypool grab. Pairing him and Juju, that should make a really formidable tandem. Your defense is good, but like I said, this season rides on Big Ben. And I mean, can he bounce back after their injury? Can he stay healthy? That's your season. Number 14, the Arizona Cardinals. I actually hate to say it because as a 49ers fan, but they are on the rise. They had a lot of hard-fought games last year, and they've greatly improved this year. A lot of their games came down to a few-point differential. And I mean, if they would have won some of those games, they could have been a potential wild card team last year. They swindled Houston out of DeAndre Hopkins. That Murray's now got Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know how much longer he has Fitz, and Fitz is on the outs of his career, but he's still sure-handed and a big threat, or a big target. They greatly improved on defense. Chandler Jones has got to be loving this. That front seven is vastly improved, and they got Simmons at number 8. That's beastie. So they're on the rise. Number 13, the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, we can say one thing for sure. They're not short on speed at the wide receiver position. They got DJ, Goodwin, and Rieger. They're going to be an absolute handful in Madden, but we'll see how good they are this season. I do think they'll compete for the division with the Dallas Cowboys. I loved the addition of Darius Slay at corner. That dude's a monster. And, I think Jalen Hurts was a pretty good addition, especially with Wentz's injury past. So they got one really good quarterback in Wentz, and then the potential second really good quarterback in Hurts. So number 12, the Indianapolis Colts. They're in win now mode. They made a big splash for free agency. They got Phillip Rivers. And then they also traded their number 13 overall pick and got DeForest Buckner, my boy. Sucks losing him. He's a great player. He got paid deservingly. And he's probably going to make some big noise in Indy. I think they're in for a good year. They grabbed Michael Pittman, and they paired that with T.Y. Hilton, and you got Paris Campbell still. And so, Rivers has some pretty nice weapons to throw to. They already had Marlon Mack. He's a beast. Now they got a nice one, too, because they grabbed Jonathan Taylor as well for that. So I think the Colts are pretty good. They're going to be good this year. All right, number 11, the Cleveland Browns. They had a lot of hype last year. That didn't come from me. They're same old Browns until you show me otherwise. I know I say that and then have them at number 11, but their offseason moves were great. They got rid of their bonehead coach. They brought in Kevin Stefanski, and I think he fits in really well with that roster, especially with what he did in Minnesota. He's coming into a similar situation. You get two really, really, really great receivers, and then you got a great running back. So he knows how to work that. The Conklin signing was huge. That O-line got Conklin and it got Jedrick Willis. It should be significantly improved. There's no excuses. If Baker gets sacked, it's because he's holding on to the ball too long. And then they went out and grabbed Grant Delpit, who's I think he's probably going to start right away. He's really good safety. Should shore up that safety position for sure. So I think they're in for a good year. I don't see them beating the Ravens for the division, and they're definitely going to have to compete with the Steelers, probably for that wild card spot. Number 10, the Dallas Cowboys. This is probably the highest I've ever had the Cowboys on any power ranking ever. But they got rid of their, bonehead coach as well, and they went and brought in McCarthy, who is inheriting a pretty talented roster. CeeDee Lamb, they fell right into the Cowboys' lap. So you probably got the best receiver in the rookie class, because the Raiders are dumbasses. So you got that. You did take some pretty big blows. You lost Travis Frederick, Robert Quinn, and then you lost Byron Jones, who's probably your biggest loss. You got some players. You got Alden Smith. I'd like to. He's had some time away from football, but if he can return to form, or if he is, returned to form like he was when he was 49er, that's a 10-sack guy. So he's a good player. Number 9, the Bills. So the real question here is, can Allen can he step up and take the division? They got him Stephon Diggs, so he's got a bona fide number 1 receiver now. And then they also made a very low risk move in signing Josh Norman. But the real question is can they take that division over? Because for the past 20 years it's been the Patriots. So Number 8, the Houston Texans. This is probably high on the Texans compared to probably many other power rankings, but they're still a great team. They still have Deshaun Watson. He didn't go anywhere. Yeah, they lost Hopkins, and they got a pretty much an often injured player in David Johnson in return. If he stays healthy, though, he is a good back. But they also did bring in Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb. I actually like both of those players. I don't know if they're technically replace Hopkins' production, but Cooks is a burner. I think Deshaun's gonna really like him. And Deshaun's really talented, and I think he can make it back to the playoffs with the offense that he's given. Number 7, the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers had a terrible offseason. They failed to improve any position in need. Their draft sucked. I disliked it. I disliked their offseason in general. They got Rodgers no help. They wouldn't be ranked number 7 if they didn't have Aaron Rodgers, and they wouldn't be ranked number 7 if Minnesota actually didn't lose every cornerback on their team. So, I mean, you're at number 7 because of Aaron Rodgers. So, number 6, the Seattle Seahawks. They bolstered their receiving corps. They went and got Dorsett, and they got Greg Olsen. I think Olsen can still play at a high level. They brought back Bruce Irvin, but I mean, let's be honest, he's not Jadeveon Clowney, and him leaving, it's going to put it's going to put a ton of pressure on other guys to step up. So you have question marks in the trenches. You have question marks on the O line. You have question marks on your D line. I don't like Seattle as much this year, but they do still have Russell Wilson. Number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would actually probably have them at least a spot higher if they actually got a training camp, and the corona wasn't affecting the NFL. They added the best quarterback to ever do it, Tom Brady. On top of that, they paired him with his go-to, Gronkowski. So that's beastie. Like that's already taking you to the playoffs pretty much right there. Just adding Tom Brady, and I mean you got Evans to go with that, and Godwin. Brady's got some of the best weapons he's ever had. Barrett and Paul, they're both returning on the D line. They also added Sue into that. So the defense is solid, and they got an offense to go with that now. So, well, on top of that, they also went immediately out and grabbed Brady some protection. They got Tristan Wirfs, so they're trying to protect him as well. I think the Buccaneers are in for a great year. Number 4, the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees is coming back. This is probably his last go around. It's going to be pretty exciting because he's going to be competing for the division against Tom Brady. That's pretty awesome. And we got 2 real actual elite, probably the best quarterbacks in the league still. Well, maybe not the best. We got Pat Mahomes and stuff like that, but 2 very high level quarterbacks competing for that division. They went and grabbed Emmanuel Sanders. That's a great pair with Michael Thomas. It's gonna make a really good duo. They replaced Bell with Malcolm Jenkins, and that's actually a pretty big upgrade. I like Jenkins. Jenkins has got he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of experience as well. He's got Super Bowl experience. He's a really good safety. Number 3. This is probably going to surprise a little bit of people just because they just came off the Super Bowl win, but that's the Kansas City Chiefs. They really didn't lose much. They got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he's drawing comparisons to Byron Westbrook, who thrived under Andy Reid. They lost Kendall Fuller, and they drafted Willie Gay Jr. He should actually start week 1, but they didn't really make any actual significant upgrades, but they didn't really lose anything super significant either. So I think they'll be right in line, for a possible, return to the Super Bowl. But I do think there's a couple teams better. Number 2, the Baltimore Ravens. All right, the Baltimore Ravens have had a great offseason. They added Calais Campbell. He's a five-time Pro Bowler. They added Derek Wolfe. That D line is greatly bolstered. That to me was their biggest weakness last year, is they could be ran on, and Calais Campbell is going to make a big impact, I believe. They also drafted Patrick Queen, who's a beast, and Malik Harrison. So their linebackers definitely took a step up. On top of that, they went and got J.K. Dobbins. That's exciting. I'm interested to see what him and Jackson can do in the same backfield. And then you have Ingram as well. Like that's going to be beastie. Number one, San Francisco 49ers. Yes, they lost Buckner, but they replaced him with Javon Kinlaw, and I truly believe Kinlaw can possibly be the best defensive tackle in football. He's got a rough story. He had a rough upcoming. The kid is a beast. Like if you watch his film, he is a monster. They also went and they lost Joe Staley, but they did get Trent Williams, and to be honest, at this point in their careers, Trent Williams is probably an upgrade. I love Staley. I didn't want to lose Staley, but I do think Trent Williams is an upgrade. And then they got lucky and were able to actually get the receiver that they wanted, which is Ayuk, and that dude is a beast as well. He is fast. So they lost Emmanuel Sanders, but they gained to them. They lost Buckner, but they gained Kinlaw. So I don't think they really have any holes again. They're probably going to be the best team in the league again, and I can see them right back in the Super Bowl. They replaced every hole with what should be big-time players. So thank you guys for watching. We're going to have more NFL stuff going out as the season gets underway. Thanks for watching. I'm going to have more stuff coming out as different moves are made. We'll see what else happens in the off season. Jadeveon Clowney still got to find a home. Even Everson Griffin's still out there. There's still some good players out there. So we'll have some more stuff going on, and as the NFL season progresses, then we'll have some more content coming out too with that. Thanks.